So you're welcome to another episode of the Hot Take right here on GH Movie Freak TV. My name is Asankomah, and when you see the Hot Take, you know I have something that I want to react to and essentially give my hot take on. But before I dive into it, please do well to subscribe to this channel if you already haven't. If you have, thumbs up to you. Hit the notification bell as well so that you get any alerts or any updates or anything that I put on this channel as well. But most importantly for me, please do well to leave your thoughts in the comment section below and share this video to as many people that you can so that we can, grow this channel. And that would be your way of holding me accountable and making sure I keep putting out these contents and reacting to stuff. But I'm sure you've seen the title of this video, you've seen the thumbnail as well. There's probably a reason why you clicked on this. So let's just dive into the clip and I will do my best to explain, give the backstory and essentially give my hot take on the clip as well.
I don't think the regulators played much role,
So if you know, this is actually a clip from should I say a podcast or an interview that was sent to me by an industry person. He's asked me not to mention his name, and it's on the channel 1-to-1. I am going to drop a link to the full interview. I think it's a very eye-opening conversation that the host had with Kunle Afolayan. If you don't know him, well, I'm sure anybody that clicked this video apparently knows him. If you don't know him, he's actually a multiple award-winning filmmaker and entrepreneur, and he has some of the biggest films to come out of Nigeria, as well as a very interesting series that's still ongoing on Netflix, Asankomah. I don't know if I pronounced that well, but please do check it out as well. And in this conversation, he was generally talking about his journey as a filmmaker. And in this particular clip that I'm reacting to, he was asked a question about what the Nigerian authorities essentially or the government had done in recent times to help promote or help stabilize or elevate the film industry. And that was his response. But I'm going to react to portions of that response.
I don't think the regulators played much role in getting us to the promised land. Well, I'll give credit to this new minister of, tourism, art and culture and creative economy for...
I actually like the name of their ministry. It's Tourism, Arts and Culture and Creative Economy.
At least bringing back, the Nigerian pavilion in Cannes. We used to have that, in those days. And I mean, it used to be a very vibrant pavilion where people from different African countries, will come there to chill, and even when we're not discussing films, it's like the embassy, like African embassy in Cannes. And then at some point that died, and we didn't have pavilion for many years. So when Nigerians, when you find yourself in Cannes, you are just, chilling around, exactly. And during Amber Day, there was also a Lagos pavilion. It was a beautiful initiative, and I remember that made significant mark, at that period. And that was the last time we ever had until, this year, with, the new minister. I think the stakeholders have individually contributed their quota to the development of the industry, and that has helped a great deal.
Right. Let's reflect on the last part of what he just said. I'm going to play the rest of the clip as well. But he mentioned that stakeholders have been instrumental basically in, getting the Nigerian film industry where it is at the moment. I've been very vocal about that, particularly in relation to the Ghanaian film industry, expecting more from people that have sort of over the years attained some, should I say, some fame or attained some level of success in other parts of their branch or careers, who started off in the film industry and sort of like expecting them to do more for the industry. But that really is a conversation for another day. I mean, you can argue that they are not obligated to do that. People say, I mean, it's nobody's responsibility to help fix the industry. But from what he said, you can see that, yes, the Nigerian film industry has been mainly held together by stakeholders, and stakeholders includes those you see on screen and off screen that are industry people, right? But the early part of the conversation, he was talking about, or the clip, he was talking about the pavilion that Nollywood has at Cannes. And anybody that has paid attention to Cannes knows this over the years, that Nigeria had a pavilion that even Ghanaian creatives who were going to Cannes were taking advantage of, or like he rightfully put it, it became like the embassy for Africa at Cannes, right? If you don't know, Cannes is arguably the biggest film industry in the world at the moment, arguably, right? And everybody wants to go to Cannes. I want to go to Cannes someday. And he mentioned that for a while they didn't have it, but they're happy that it's back. Why am I reacting to this? I'm talking about this because I feel like this is something that Ghana should also have been able to take advantage of over the years. For a very long time, I've spoken about sort of like non-existent presence at festivals, right? I know for a fact that for years, the Ghana Movie Awards had, I don't know if it was an award they were giving to the best dressed male and best dressed female of the night of the awards. They were that part of the award was taking them to Cannes, right? And every time they go to Cannes, what we'd see was pictures. We would see them like take pictures on the red carpet at Cannes. And I was like, is that all? Is that really it? Like, are we not thinking about positioning ourselves in a way that we can present our films to the rest of the world, or positioning ourselves in a way that would make people aware that there's a thriving film industry here in Ghana, and people would want to come to Ghana to come and collaborate with Ghanaian creatives, or essentially pay attention to Ghanaian films and look at the possibilities of what could come out from the Ghanaian films. For years, we have been seeing these red carpet pictures of Ghanaian creatives as part of their award for being best dressed at the Ghana Movie Awards make an appearance at Cannes. Why? Again, I think it's important that we learn something from this, because I got the opportunity for the very first time to be at the Durban International Film Festival last year. And I'm not going to lie to you, my eyes were opened, bro. Like, I was like a kid in a candy store when I was at Durban last year. I was just taking it all in. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very antisocial person. Like, I'm socially awkward, so I'd rather be the guy in the back or the guy standing in the corner just observing everything. And that was me at Durban. Well, mostly that was what I was doing at Durban last year. I was just taken aback by the energy, by people connecting, people trying to, like, there was some energy all around the place just because of the Durban International Film Festival and the Durban the Durban Film Mart, right? And the reason why I'm talking about this now is because as part of what I saw there, a lot of countries had, should I say, booths, or should I say they are taking up stands where they were sort of like introducing people to their film industry with their stands. Unfortunately, Ghana didn't have a stand. I don't think Ghana has ever had a stand at Durban International Film Festival. And I think it's something we should take advantage of, because I saw countries, I saw Kenya, I saw Kenya, I think I saw Uganda, I saw some of the Northern African countries, I think Egypt and Morocco, they all had stands where they were sort of like inviting people to say, oh, this is our film industry, these are some of the films that are coming out of our country, and more or less introducing you to what they have, right? And I believe it's not just at Durban, we could do that at any big festival as a country collectively, right? And that would sort of like increase the visibility of Ghanaian films out there. It was quite depressing when, was it last year or last 2 years, when Spike Lee was in Ghana, and industry people were outraged because they didn't get to meet him. And I think Spike Lee was in an interview somewhere, and he said he didn't know Ghana had a film industry. And it was embarrassing for me. Like, he didn't know, he just didn't know. I'm sure he probably has not heard of a Ghanaian film before, right? He probably has not heard that this is a Ghanaian film. And it's because of our failure to take advantage of some of these avenues. I don't think it's beneath us as a country or as an industry, and I'll probably throw this challenge just like Kunle is giving credit to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Creative Economy of Nigeria. I think I'll throw this challenge to our Ministry of Tourism as well, to at least take advantage of some of these platforms, take advantage of some of these festivals. We've seen Ghana pay for what? Adverts on CNN. We've seen Ghana take advantage of other forms of putting the country out there, particularly when we had the Beyond the Return and year of Return and all that. But have we really done that with film? Have we really taken advantage of selling the country with film, through film? I don't think we have. But let's just go on and listen to more of what he has to say.
The reason why most of the films, and go and check, most of the films that have selections in top festivals, for
Let's pay attention to this part.
example, My Father's Shadow, it's because it's a co-production, with Britain and and other platforms, and the funding was from there. So they have stake in it, and then they know how to play the politics. They know the right language to speak, when submitting, because it's a co-production. There has been great and amazing films, made in this country that, didn't make it to festivals because they're independent film, by individual. No matter how great the film.
I agree on that too, even for the Ghanaian film space, because there have been a lot of amazing Ghanaian films that I've seen that I felt like they could have made ways for us collectively as an industry and as a country, but they didn't get seen by the rest of the world. And not that some of these films didn't try to get into festivals, they just didn't understand the politics, or they did not have the backing or the weight behind them to be able to maneuver through the whole festival scene, right? And that really is the truth. It's not just about, I tell people all the time, by all means, let's take advantage of festivals. There are smaller festivals that it will be easier for you to get your film in, but the big ones, there is some level of politics that you have to play, right? There's some level of, should I say, maneuvering or lobbying? Yes, for a lack of a better word. There's some level of politics or lobbying that you would have to play to get your films in some of these big festivals. And many of the time, this lobbying starts with the help of your government or your film authority or the powers behind your industry to say, look, this is Ghana, this is this film from Ghana, take a look at it, right? It's easier for the conversation to go that way. And again, he mentioned about co-productions. We've seen some very interesting co-productions here in Ghana from, top of my mind, the one that readily comes to mind is Boga, Boga is like maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, maybe 4 years or more. Yeah. And there have been several other co-productions that have happened, but it's almost as though we don't see them. Like, it's almost as though it could be more. But how does that happen? Really, how do these co-productions happen? I believe that we have become so complacent in what the Ghanaian film industry is or isn't that we are failing to take advantage of partnering. And how do these partnerships happen? We have to put ourselves out there. Just listen to what he has to say going forward from this part.
Is if he doesn't have the push or backing of even government have got roles to play.
Absolutely.
So if, for example, a country like Nigeria as a country picked a film and, they decided to put their weight behind it and they
try to help to play the politics in that zone, the films will fly better than I mean, there was that Mami Water. That's another film that, travel festivals.
Let's talk about the weight behind films thing a bit, right? So a couple years ago, I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Ghana had its first, maybe 6 years ago actually, Ghana had its first official submission to the Oscars, right? And at that time, there were two films that were batting heads against each other. That felt like we're going to give Ghana a chance. It was between Azali and then The Burial of Kojo. And the Ghana Oscar Committee chose Azali, right? And I remember around that time, this is unconfirmed reports. So like I can't authoritatively say that this happened, but I remember around that time there was some rumor or some conversation around that time that Azali couldn't make the official nomination because they were not able to lobby, right? They were not able to lobby the people that were in charge of actually making the nominations, right? Ghana was able to submit a film, but Azali wasn't able to, pick and get a nomination at the Oscars because Ghana wasn't, or the people behind the film were not able to lobby. And I remember again that around the time, the conversation was that The Burial of Kojo would have been a better pick to get the nomination because there was already a PR machinery behind it that was going to help or going to lobby to get the nomination. And we saw that later, I think after a few months when they got the Golden Globes nomination, right? And this is a film from Ghana. This is a film from a Ghanaian director who has gone on to achieve greater things. I personally feel like he's not going to come and do a film in Ghana again. I don't know, I could be wrong. I hope he does come back to Ghana to do a film. But the point here is it's important that collectively we start paying attention to some of these things and position ourselves in ways where we can, either as a country or either as an industry, lobby for some of these things. Because it doesn't make sense for a very good film to come out from Ghana, they get submitted to the Oscars, and there's no weight behind it to say, look, pay attention to this film. And this lobbying from, again, what I've gathered, unconfirmed, I can't say this authoritatively, but it involves getting critics, getting academy board members to watch the film, taking them out to dinner, like getting them, telling them, look, this is the film you need to be paying attention to. It's a whole game. There's a whole politics behind it. But are we taking advantage of this? Are we willing to play the game? Are we willing to learn to play the game? That's another conversation. Because I believe that year, this year, I'm trying to remember what year exactly it was, maybe 2018, 2017. But that year, I believe if Nigerians had been able to submit their film that year, which was Genevieve's Lionheart, that year, they would have gotten a nomination because they were ready to lobby. Okay. And are we just going to sit back and expect some of these things to fall from the sky onto our lap and say, oh, it worked for us by grace or by fate or by fortune? Are we willing to take advantage of that extra step and go all out there and put ourselves in the conversation? Let's just go on and listen to what else he has to say. Yeah.
But why? It was because it was a co-production film, no Nigerian money. So, and again, as a filmmaker.
This is also interesting for me. He mentioned the film Mame Water. I've seen the film. Shout out to the director, Oge, yeah, part of Serial 16 or Serial 17 collective. Yeah, Oge Bassi, yeah. Shout outs to him for the film Mame Water. You should go check that film out if you haven't. I've watched that film and I'm like, that's easily a film a Ghanaian could have made. That's easily a film a Ghanaian could have made. But like Kunle just said, I don't know if that's true, but that's Kunle saying. He's saying that the money for that film didn't come from Nigeria. It was from outside. And I know for a fact that before Oge, the director, could gets that sort of like investment into his film, he wasn't just sitting on his ass in Nigeria and that thing worked to him. He had to make moves. I know that collective of creatives had made several moves or had made several films before that had done well on festival circuits, right? And that leads me back to this. We are downplaying the importance of festivals or getting involved in festivals. We are like, I get it. I'm going on a rant now, but let's just go on.
Look, it's not, you need to decide. Do you want to make films
Listen to this part.
that will travel festivals and you'll be running around festivals and you will be known in festivals, but you won't be able to make commercial film and make good money? Or you want to make commercial films and do box office hit like Funke Akindele in Nigeria, and everybody loves you, and you are in that zone and you are enjoying it. So that is something that the filmmaker also need to first, you need to decide
Right.
where you want to play.
So I've seen Ghanaian filmmakers make this argument as well. Anytime I talk about festivals, they're like, me, I'm looking for money. Festivals will not bring me money. Well, you have a point. But are you really making money nonetheless? Like we are even struggling with our cinema culture here. So how else are you going to make the money, right? Streaming. We are even struggling to get our films good deals on streaming platforms. So I think it's a catch-22 nonetheless. Like we need to take advantage of both. I've seen some filmmakers that have played both sides of the divide and be like, oh, they've enjoyed the success of having a festival film. They've enjoyed the traveling. They've enjoyed the going around, getting the exposure, getting the attention for themselves and their films. And they've sat back and they're like, okay, I don't want to go down that route anymore. I want to do commercial films. And they are doing commercial films and it's working for them, right? I'm not going to mention anybody's name before anybody comes at me, but I know some Ghanaian filmmakers who have achieved that or who have checked that box and they're like, okay, I'm not going to do festivals again, or I'm not paying attention to festivals for now. Let me do commercial films. But are we willing to look at the success of the commercial viability of our industry? Is there really that part of our industry where you can say, okay, I'm going to be the next Funke Akindele. I'm just going to be having box office hits after hits after hits after hits. No, we are not there yet. Again, I'm still going to lean more towards the festivals because in an earlier part of this conversation Kunle was having, he said for the last 15 or 17 years, he always goes to Cannes. Why? Why is he going to Cannes every year for the last 15 or 17 years? It's not just for the sites or because he can afford to travel, but because he's looking for business. And I was in South Africa last year and I saw business happening. I saw distribution platforms at the Durban Film Festival looking for content. They'll just walk up to you. I'm looking for a film. And you're like, I don't have a film. I'm just a film critic. Like, oh, yeah, that guy. And then they'll walk away, right? But the energy that I saw at Durban made me understand why film festivals are important and why every filmmaker needs to at least have one film festival that they have on their mind that every year I'm going to be there, right? It's important. Why else would Kunle be going to Cannes every year for the last 15 years, even though by all standards, he's a very successful filmmaker. He's achieved a lot. He's bagged a lot of distribution deals. As a matter of fact, Kunle could sit on his ass in Nigeria and be producing for Netflix for the next 5-10 years and he'll be okay. But why is he still going to Cannes? Why? Because a lot of business happens there. Yeah. Not just Cannes, but every freaking festival, there are people there that are basically there for business. At least I'm not going to talk about the Ghanaian film festivals because y'all are not going to come. Like, industry people are not going to show up. But at least I can talk about Durban because I was there last year. And I want to go back this year, right? And what I observed again about Durban was that a lot of the people I met or I saw at Durban were people that had been coming to Durban every year. So they sort of like knew each other. They would I'll be in the groups of people, and they'll be having conversations about last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, and I'm lost. I'm like, hey, this is my first time here. I don't know what you guys are talking about, right? And you'd ask yourself, why do they keep going? Because they know they are going to take business away, if not for themselves, but for their countries as well, right? So I feel like if the commercial side of our film industry is not doing well, as in we are not having success with box office hits, why don't we take that route? Why don't we get a bit more intentional at going to festivals? Like, be more intentional and saying, okay, I'm going to make this film. I'm going to make a festival film, right? Think of it this way. I'm going to make a festival film, put my all in it, make a very artsy film, and probably travel the world with it for 2 years. And I bet you after that 2 years, you would come back either with some form of partnership or with some form of renewed mindset that would help advance your career as a filmmaker. And I believe that's what Kunle did, because he talked about it. Listen.
The genre of your film would determine where you play. For example, when I started, with the Rakwada and Figurine, I didn't want to make just commercial film. Figurine went to several film festivals around the world. Same as October 1. But I was conscious of the fact that I wanted to do a film that is arty, but at the same time will give commercial appeal.
And that's true. You can do the balance. You can have a fine balance. You can make a very arty film and still give it a commercial appeal. A very good example for me would be The Burial of Kujo. I think it's a very arty film, but it still has some level of commercial viability. Maybe that was lost in translation for the Ghanaian audience, but I think it's still a very commercial film that if we had paid a little bit more attention to it, or if they had marketed it a bit differently to the Ghanaian audience, it would have been a hit. I'm not going to lie. But another good example is KTK by Peter Sidifia. It's a typical festival film, but it had that commercial viability to it. And I remember when it was released and how successful it was for Peter, even box office wise. I don't know the numbers, but I think it did well for him to have propelled him to make his next film and think like, okay, I'm going to do more commercial viable films. But yes, the point here is there can be a balance, right? There can really be a balance. But if the truth of the matter on the ground is that our commercial business for our films is struggling here in Ghana, why don't we take advantage of the festivals? Why? Because I believe something big can come out of that. I believe by all means, make a good film, put it into festivals, travel around. Don't be like me, be sociable, like network. They say this, your network is only as big as your network. Yeah, whatever that saying means. But I'm sure business comes out of it eventually, and that's how come for the last 15 or 17 years, Kunle, with how successful he is still going to festivals.
Go and check most of the films that get selected in festivals. They are festival films. They won't sell in cinemas.
It's always been that way.
They're art film. So
crazy side thoughts. I've been on the jury I've been judging festivals for maybe last 6 or 7 years, and I've seen some mind-blowing films, bro. Like maybe 8 years actually. I've seen some mind-blowing films. Like, bro, and if you watch some film, then I'm like, hey, I wish the whole world could get to see the film. But when you watch the film, you're like, okay, this filmmaker probably didn't make this film for money. He just wanted to make a dope ass film with good storytelling, with good cinematography, and travel the world with it, right? And probably along the line, get whatever fulfillment that they want to get out of it, and probably advance their career and later think about making commercial films. But yeah, he does have a point over there. Commercial films do not always do well in cinemas, but I think there's always a way to have a fine balance. When you think about the story and you're like, think of it this way. You decide, do I want to make a commercial film? I want to make a commercial film that would do well in cinemas. And you'll be like, okay, I want to do both, and you find a balance. Yeah.
For me, there's nothing wrong with making art film, but it's your call, to say, look, this is where I want to play, this is what I want to be known for. I want to be known as an author, or I want to, it's up to you. But I feel that there has been more effort by individuals, in moving the entire, just like Afrobeat. Who do you give the credit for where Afrobeat has got into? It's purely the artist. It's not
purely the artist. Or what's up with high life?
It's got nothing to do with government or structure.
I think this is brilliant. Like I said, I'm going to drop a link to this clip in the comment section in the description of this video, so you could watch the actual the full interview, the full conversation with Kunle. I've listened to Kunle speak a couple of times, but I never really paid attention to him. I'd always been, should I say nonchalant? I've just been okay, yeah, that's Kunle, what's up? But in this particular interview, I was able to understand I was able to get a full understanding of his depth of industry, his depth of knowledge when it comes to being a filmmaker and also being a business savvy filmmaker, right? And I think everybody out there should watch this full interview and probably see what I saw in this, and yeah, take a lesson or two out of it.
Regulators or anything. No, it's artists pushing their thing, and then God said, "I'm me to it." So yeah.
Yeah. Artists pushing their things, and God said, I'm into it. I feel like, yes, on our part of the world, or this part of the continent, Ghana, we the artists or we the creatives are not necessarily pulling our weight. I can't mince words about this. I feel like we've just come to that point, should I call it acceptance, that this is our fate, really. I think there's a lot more we can do collectively as an industry or as creatives to sort of advance our cause or sort of give governments reason to pay attention to us, but we are not taking advantage of it. We are not. We are just sitting on our asses waiting for manna to fall. Really, really and truly, that's how best to describe it. We are just sitting on our asses waiting for manna to fall from the sky or some miracle to happen, and our film industry will get better. But I believe there's a lot more work that collectively as our industry we need to take advantage of. Commercially, our films are not doing well. We have a struggling cinema culture. We are at a deficit when it comes to streaming and getting attention for our films on streaming platforms. So why don't we just as well take advantage of festivals? That really is my thought. That is why I'm doing this video. I'm trying to put it in the heads of filmmakers that, look, make that short film, submit it to as many festivals as you can. If there's an opportunity for you to travel around the world with that film, travel with it, network, sell yourself, sell your country, and hopefully, fingers crossed, something good will come out of it, not just for you, but for the entire industry. I'm looking for money to go to Durban again. I probably will go to Durban again this year. If not, the year is still young. Well, you're halfway into the year, but there's still a long list of festivals across the continent that I want to attend, and hopefully I'm going to make it a habit and at least go to one international film festival once a year. Besides all the festivals that I'm part of here in Ghana, that I know industry people are not even going to show up for. But I'm going to do my best to, at least for myself, and to advance myself as a critic, to advance myself as a film journalist, to attend at least one big festival a year. And I think you should do same too. I think collectively as an industry or independently as creatives in our industry, let's take advantage of these festivals. I strongly believe that from what I saw in Durban last year, with that little experience, as a matter of fact, when I was leaving Durban, I had like this energy on the plane. I was like, when I come to Ghana, I'm going to do this. As a matter of fact, when I got to Ghana, I started plans again for the next edition of GH MovieCon. Like, I was so drunk with like enthusiasm. Like, I want this for my country. I want this for our industry. I'm going to have like GH MovieCon and invite this person and bring this person in, have this session, have this. I had all the ideas on my head in the flights. I got to Ghana and the realities hit me. Yeah. The realities hit me. That Ghana is not entirely supportive of creative ideas. Ghana is very difficult to excel in as a creative. Ghana will stifle your energy as a creative. But also the truth is we need to do our best. We need to play our part regardless. We need to be intentional. We need to be motivated. We need to be specific, particularly, if not for ourselves, for the next generation. And I speak to people about this and I'm like, anything I do now, it probably might not pay off for me concerning the Ghanaian film industry. But I hope that the next generation after me, when they come and they start working or doing things concerning the film industry, it would be because someone like me or people like myself took it upon themselves to put in the work, make efforts, spark conversation, and evoke change for the Ghanaian film industry. This has been my hot take on the subject matter. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you have any comments, on the clip I reacted to, leave that in the comment section. If you have any comments on my hot take on this, leave that in the comment section as well. But most importantly, share this video so as many more people could get to watch this. My name is Asankomah, and you just watched GH Movie Freaks Hot Take. I'm out. Peace.